Hello, everyone. Chess, as we all know, is a mind game for which knowledge, tactics, and utmost attention and concentration is required to excel. While it can be debated that it is as much a physical game as it is a mental one, we cannot simply negate how immensely impactful it is in boosting an orderliness to life, which in turn helps in the maintenance of good health physically and mentally. I am Subhangi Roy, and we'll be talking about the implications of mental health and the importance of highlighting this matter in front of you. Envision Chess Academy aims at progressing holistically, keeping in mind the significance of paying attention to the mental health of its students. When we talk about the human mind, we know that it is a very complex thing, and till date, much of it is beyond our understanding. Mental health nowadays is a pivotal issue. Multiple news headlines each and every day highlighting incidents depicting poor mental health and its consequences have become almost a norm. The situation is worrisome to us. At Envision Chess Academy, in addition to chess coaching, we are dedicated towards holistic well being of our students. Hence, to throw light on the issue of poor mental health, we have with us our expert, Dr. Abhishek Chakladar, who in today's discussion will not only tell us about the problem but also on the preventive and promotive aspects of mental health and well being. Before we proceed, I'd like to say a few words about Dr. Abhishek. He has completed his MBBS from NRS Medical College, Kolkata, and has completed his MD in psychiatry from AIMS, Delhi. He not only has over 6 years of Premier Institute experience, but also specializes in children and adolescents guidance. Today, we are here to discuss regarding the deteriorating mental health of the young population of the country. The intriguing aspects of the problem are many, and our expert in this session will help us navigate through its nuances. So, Doctor, how do we perceive this problem and what are your views in it?
Uh, f- um, Thank you very much for the excellent introduction, I would say. And I would thank the Envision Chess Academy from the core of my heart for introducing such a session. I believe that this kind of sessions are very important, firstly, for promoting an awareness about mental health and also in fostering the preventive as well as the promotive aspects. Now, looking at the problem of deteriorating mental health, I would say that this problem has got many nuances. Firstly, if you look at children per se, we say very easily that we use the word children often unanimously. But if we see that childhood from birth till 18 years of age, this is a multi-stage development process, and each stage has its own needs and its own aspirations also. And the problems that a child 8 or 9 years is facing, that problem is entirely different from that which is faced by a 14 or 15-year-old child. So if we look into this aspect right from the development has got a profound impact on the mental health of children, I would say. And so we need to look at this from the developmental perspective. And we have to analyze what are the problems and what are its implications at each and every stage of the life. So, looking at the problem, I would say and that the problems are manifold. But in today's discussion, I would like to highlight on the most important problems that kids as well as adolescents are facing these days. Uh, the burden of the problem, as we see, as reported in many national statistics, uh, they have been reported last decade when the statistics were published. It was uh, and it was reported that around 8 to 10% of the children right away are suffering from some kind of mental health issues. Now, coming to the current decade, decade-wise, there has been an exponential growth in the problems of kids and adolescents who have been suffering from mental health issues. And this has been rightly attributed that the changing societal norms as well as the urbanization and also the uh, needs and wants of the modern life. These are the many factors that are contributing to the mental health issues of children, I would say.
Thank you,
And
doctor, for your insightful answer. So, I'd like to ask you that how does poor mental health take a toll on everyday life? How does it
uh,
impact the children on an everyday life?
see, poor mental health, it is not something which takes a acute um, incidence, I would say. The problems of poor mental health that has been engraved right from the very beginning, right from the developmental aspect, what I would say, right from very early onset. We don't recognize these problems at the outset, but we recognize it when the problematic behavior or problematic things set out. Suppose I would say it with an example that many children, you would say, see these days that they suffer from anger issues. Now, anger is something which is very much inherent to the human behavior. We all get angry at some point of time or the other. But child who has got anger issues, he or she, their anger episodes takes place irrespective of the social situation. Suppose a child getting angry in social situations, having a fight very much frequently with his or her peers, and also in the school, that amounting to physical violence. Now, this doesn't take place all of a sudden. We have to understand the temperament of the child to understand it more deeply. Suppose a child, if we look at the parenting aspect, many of these children, you would see that when they were born, they had suffered from some kind of abuse, I would say. Not physical abuse, I would say, but abuse has also got many connotations, social as well as mental connotations, I would say. So this kind of children, as studies show, that they have been frequently abused, be it at home, be it at school, be it in some social situations. Abuse can take many forms, such as one very common aspect I would like to point out is that body shaming. Suppose children who are obese or they're very much underweight, many of them are subjected to body shaming in some form or the other. I won't say that that amounts to a very much grievous hurt when someone is doing it, but yes, it takes a toll on the mental health. You don't know what's the constitution of the child. Your statements might have a negative impact on the child. So these are the by abuse I mean to say this. Now you see many children who and their school teachers reporting that your child doesn't pay attention properly in school, and he or she fails to complete the tasks that are allotted to them. They're unable to sit at one place. Many of these children, when they visit a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they're diagnosed with ADHD, or what we call as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, in ADHD, it's more of a biological problem, but there are many other aspects of ADHD also. Many children with ADHD who develop conduct disorder. Now, conduct disorder is something which I would say that its seeds are born in very early childhood. Those who are experiencing or visualizing violence in some form or the other, uh, these people are prone to develop conduct disorder. In the family, if you say someone who is having alcohol dependence, say father or any relative who is having alcohol dependence in the family, and they're witnessing some forms of violence or the other in their family, this they try to implement these things what they're seeing in their day-to-day life. When they see that violence in some form or the other, it helps you to get some things that child or adolescent might see in the neighborhood or in the family, that when a person who has got alcohol dependency or he does physical violence in some form or the other, his demands are met very easily. Now they imbibe this thing, and they say that they feel that if we behave violently, our demands would be met. So this kind of things, this if we look at the environment, many such things in the environment, the children get hold of these things and they imbibe these things in their behavior. Another thing which I would like to point out is that they are in today's world, the internet is very much at our fingertips. Now children, they're also exposed to internet. In internet, many children would be seeing many movies in which violence is depicted in some form or the other. So what I mean to say is that your environment has got a very much important effect on your behavior, especially in the formative years of your personality. So thing and when the problems encountered by these children, first of all, behavioral problems for which the school teacher or the when wherever they're going for sports, their sports instructor, they're complaining to their parents that your child is not behaving properly. Another thing is that their lack of decline in the scholastic performance. Suppose the child who has been growing up well, so suddenly you find that their grades start deteriorating. Now, in the current education system, deteriorating grades won't appear to you evident immediately. After one or two classes, when the child is unable to cater to the academic needs, the guardians are called and they ask to visit a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So many children who are coming to us, they're presenting with primarily two complaints. One is behavioral problems, one is decline in scholastic performance, and socialization. The social quotient, what I would say. Many children presenting with a decline in social quotient. They're not socializing with others, and they want to stay on their own. Suppose any form of video games, they're busy with their video games and any kind of activities that do not require social inputs. They're very much into this. Now, the first two behaviors, what I think that are problematic, they surface out very easily. A decline in scholastic performance and a problematic behavior in some setting or the other, they come to light very easily. Third group of children who are engrossed in their activities, not socializing. Now, these days, what happens is that both the parents are working. So the time that they're devoting to their kids, that has decreased. Because of nuclear families also, the children, either they're staying all along themselves under the supervision of some house help, or they're going to some creches. So in there, the emotional component of their behavior, that is not being taken seriously, more so because there are many children and also you don't expect your house help to look after your children the way you do. So what happens is that these children are left out very much, those who do not display problematic behavior in that sort. So they come to light at a later stage, and when they come to light, their problems usually are have increased many folds. So a toll on everyday life, yes, but more so, the problem getting detected late is a worrisome thing rather than a toll on everyday life. See, whatever problems you are having, be it a physical problem, be it a emotional problem, be it a mental problem, it will take a toll on your life. You are affected by fever, it will take 7 days of yours. But mental issues are such that if you do not address them at the earliest, they will continue to take toll on your life. You may not appear ill very evident, but yes, your productivity, your performance, they are bound to get affected.
Thank you, doctor. Just because it is not visible to the naked eye, it doesn't mean that it is not affecting the kid. So um, there are so many things that happens when where the kids are not being able to communicate to their parents, and it becomes difficult for them. So while a large population is totally unaware of these things, they suffer in the silence. So it is good that we are trying to bring it to the public eye that some things happen and they happen in silence. So thank you, doctor. You pointed out that children are also not immune to the problem of poor mental health. So please throw some more light on it, as it is a common belief that children, because of greater immunity than adults, are less affected by all kinds of illness in general.
And definitely, I would say that there is a very false belief on part of our parents and also on part of many sections of the society that childhood mental health is not an issue at all. What's the problem with the mental health of a child? They're immune to things. Yeah, if you talk of physical immunity, definitely children are more immune than adults. But if we talk about the scope of resilience, and also the way, the adjusting power, there I would like to point out two things here. One is the inherent temperament that the child is born with. You cannot do anything to it, right? Another is the personality which we develop slowly and it forms fully after you cross your adulthood at around 18 to 19 years of age. The person who you are, that is constantly changing and many things are shaping it. But there is an inherent temperament, the way you approach things, the way you look at things, the way you behave inherently, that is a biological thing. You cannot do anything to it. Now, when we talk of childhood mental health, there are many biological vulnerabilities that children are born with. Now, the biological vulnerabilities, these are also not very constant. These also change from one stage of life to another. And we see that children who are more vulnerable, they tend to develop uh, mental illnesses easily in the long run. But if we talk about mental health in general, not talking about illnesses also, the phases through which a newborn child attains adulthood, these are also, there are many stages here. Now, the two important stages that I would like to speak about, one is the stage of attaining puberty, and another is the stage of attaining the pre-adolescence to adolescent transition. Now, puberty for boys as well as girls, it is a stressful period. Now, when you say this to someone, they will wonder what stress it is. We have gone through the same thing. What is a big thing about it? Now, I entirely agree that our parents as well as grandparents, they have gone through this without any problems, or more so, if they had suffered also, they weren't aware of the thing what they had suffered. They thought it to be their fate, that this is bound to be. Now, because of the current development and the current knowledge, the hormonal changes which happen during puberty, they make you vulnerable to some adversities. Now, in your body, when these hormones, the levels are changing, you tend to develop, and not only children also, many adults also, they develop mood swings. Now, mood swings in some way or the other we all have in our day-to-day life. When things go wrong, we all develop mood swings. Now, a child who has got biological vulnerabilities, now if you don't address these mood swings properly, and mood swings can be accompanied with many behaviors, problematic behaviors. uh, I would give you one example. The young children in their 11, 12, 14 who develop mood swings. Now, they get so much emotionally burdened that they think that they don't feel good, and they also don't have a way to channelize their emotions. Now, many of these, they tend to harm themselves. Many of these children, more so in females, I would say, they tend to harm themselves. Now, if we look at it from one perspective, uh, people will say you have got depression. Uh, People will take you to the emergency of a hospital. They will ask you all questions. why are you depressed and all this sort, and you don't actually, the kid do not have an answer to all this. So they get startled. What sort of questions is the doctor asking, or whatever, whoever they're attending, they're asking. Now, what is depression? The kid doesn't understand at that age, right? The main thing that they're facing is that they're emotionally overburdened. Now, emotional overburdening, this is a common thing which happens in adulthood and pre-adolescence. Now, you have got to address these issues, not from a disease angle, but from a angle of normalcy. How to channelize your emotions. Um, this is one thing. Another thing is that when they're approaching from the pre-adolescence to adolescence transition. Now, many of the kids these days, they get into relationships. Uh, when they speak about it with their parents tend to just uh, ignore them. Say, at this age, it's not the age for relationships. You concentrate on your studies. What do you do if you do not get good marks in exams? And it has got a right age. You don't do it right away. So the child, what happens is that they don't open up before their parents regarding these things. Now, if you don't have the knowledge, what you will do is that you will try to imbibe knowledge from other sources which are not as reliable. Now, apart from this knowledge, they learn about many other things. Many of the children, they get into drug use. They don't have a proper knowledge of sexuality at that age. Suppose at 13 to 14 years or 15 years of age, they don't have that proper knowledge about sexuality. Nowadays, thankfully, many schools, they are providing education on these things. But when we were students, we didn't hear about what is sex education or all these things. So, but also, I would also make a point that not all schools, they're imparting this sort of education. Few schools, few renowned schools, they're imparting this sort of education. So what happens is that when the child or the uh, pre-adolescent child doesn't have proper knowledge, they tend to imbibe this knowledge from various other sources, and they also get something in addition. They get to know about drug use. Now, the child has already been scolded by the parents 2 or 3 times before this. Now they would have a great fear approaching their parents, and what they end up experimenting. Now, in the scope of experimenting, when it becomes a habit, they don't realize. And when the child or the pre-adolescent is brought to us, they have developed 3 to 4 problems. One problem is that problematic behavior and not respecting the social norms, relationship which they aren't sure, or they aren't very much aware of what to do. And fourthly, some kind of substance use, be it smoking or be it alcohol or something like. So when you approach these problems, it becomes a very difficult, challenging thing, tackling 4 problems. But if you look closely, where from this problem is stemmed in, it is stemmed in just because the kid or the child was not able to channelize his or her emotions properly. They weren't able to open up before an authority figure, be it their parents or someone in the family. So I would like to stress that important is that the communication between the parents and the children, first of all. A psychiatrist or a psychologist feature in much late. But what is the thing is that your parents are the first contact points where they can discuss their problems, and they can allay their anxiety, or they can clear their doubts. So proper communication is very much essential.
So, thank you, doctor. This is basically very important when we think of it in terms of everyday life, because um, parents do need to create this safe space for their children so that they can
Yeah.
come up to them at any point of the day or at any point, so that they can discuss their problems, which is affecting them on a daily basis. So apart from that, the thing that you mentioned, that uh, children in their growing stage pick up things from everyday life, and those are usually half baked knowledge. And and that we have always known that half knowledge is always very, very dangerous,
Yeah.
and they do not have anybody to clarify it to them that what can be the whole truth of it, and they just go ahead at their own whim. So
Yeah.
that becomes really, really dangerous. So on that note, my next question to you is that are there any precautions that we can take so that children are not affected?
Yeah, a very good question, I would say. See, precautions, yes, there are precautions, but first is the awareness. First thing is the awareness. Nowadays, it feels good to see that parents are getting aware slowly and steadily. Not at a very first pace, I would say, but definitely there is the endeavor to imbibe knowledge and create an awareness or accept at least that childhood mental health is an issue. So the first step to solve any problem is to acknowledge it, and rightly I would say that awareness is going on. So that is an encouraging thing. Secondly, one thing I would like to point out is that these days many parents, they have either single kids or maximum two children. So because of nuclear family setup, many new parents or many would-be parents, they they're not aware about the art of parenting. Um, See, in previous days, what used to happen is that in the joint family setup, people used to see how someone's kids are getting managed. Now, our parents or the grandparents, they didn't undertake any parenting course, but what they imbibed within their life is the knowledge they inculcated, whatever they saw and whatever they practiced. Now our exposure to those things that have virtually become zero. So what happens is that the new parents, they don't know what the art of parenting is. They try to bring up their kids in the way they are brought. Now, there lies the problem. You cannot apply whatever was applicable to you, to your kid. Their time frame, your time frame are both different. So, there are few organizations, I would say, who counsel new parents or would-be parents on parenting practices. Um, if there are many online resources available also, but having said that, what I would say is that you have to let your child be himself or herself. That doesn't mean that you don't care about your child or let him or her go wherever they want. No, that's not the thing. You have to steer your kids properly, right? Like the way you drive a car, you have to steer your kids properly. Now, many parents, what they try to do is that they want to take decisions on behalf of their kids at almost all stages of their life, right from the beginning to adolescence or even in adulthood also. So, in this note, I would like to make a mention is that when a child slowly grows, there are many stages of development. As I said, I won't go into the depth of all that, but there is an important stage when the kid approaches 6 or 7 years of age. There is a age stage what is called uh, industry versus inferiority. If you let your child do uh, according to his own, that child will later grow up and develop into an industrious adult. He would like to take chances. He would show stability in the decisions he will be taking. Now, when you are overprotecting your child to a very large extent, I would say that what happens is that the child gets a false sense of security, that my parents are doing everything for me. Why should I need to worry? No, problem happens when you let your child go and study in some university or outside your home where you need to stay in a hostel life, or in any way staying outside the country. Now, what happens is that at that point the child is unable to take decision on his own, and he or she will call up the parents every single time, and if not, they will fall under the influence of some friend or the other. And usually, when you are not employing your brain or your emotions to take a stand, usually you take a wrong stand, be it on your part, be it on part of someone else. So this point is that you may have a single child, you may have two children, but don't be too overprotective towards them. Let them do whatever they want to. Always guide them. Don't impose your wishes on them. First thing. Second thing is that uh, learn the art of parenting. There will be flaws on your part. There will be flaws on part of the children, but how to get over those things, that is essential. Thirdly is build an atmosphere around you so that your child can communicate with you freely, be it on any topic. And fourthly is that always let your child involve in some kind of activities apart from studies. Activities can be manifold. It can be music, it can be dance, it can be sports, and any form of sports, be it outdoor sports, be it indoor sports. Amongst the outdoor sports, if your child is comfortable in body contact games, that is a very good um, channel, I would say. A child whose temperament is a little bit um, exaggerated temperament, I would say, a difficult temperament child who gets angry easily, throws tantrums easily. So, employing in such kind of outdoor games, that is a way of channelizing the excessive energy that the kid has. If you just ask the kid to stay at home and do some boring stuff, that kid will obviously get irritated. He has no scope of channelizing his energy. So, and on the other hand, children who develop some kind of attentional problems, who are not very attentive in studies, I would say that um, parents can arrange for some cognitive games, which like chess, of course. So these are the things which parents should be aware of. And lastly, there will be many parents whose children, they will be having some kind of problems. And suppose any kind of problems which develop at birth. Suppose many kids, they are not intellectually very sound. You intellectual problems they have. Many kids will be having problems of impaired attention to a difficult level to manage. Many kids will be having some kind of developmental disorder, such as autism. Uh, but for those parents, there is one word is that, see, there is something which your child can obviously do. And it's not like that your child has a low intellectual quotient, he or she cannot succeed in anything. Definitely, they can do something. You have to find out what they are good at or what they are taking interest in. So, this is one thing. And you should not be comparing your child with others on perspective of academics or on perspective of any extracurricular activities also. You should not be comparing your child with others, and you should understand that your child also has some unique capabilities. You need to harness that capability out of him or her. So that's what I would like to say.
As you rightly mentioned, I feel it is very, very important to understand that a child needs a space of their own, a room of their own to think and ponder over whatever dreams they have, and to even have that conversation with their parents that Ma, Baba, I want to do this. Mom, Dad, I really want to do this. I want to pursue this, or I'm interested in this activity. So to give that space is also very, very important. And the stigma, I feel there's this stigma there where if there's some issue, some mental issue, they think of it as as a problem, and at last they start thinking, what will the society think of my kid, and is he not as normal, quote unquote normal, and at par with the other children. So when that feeling, that emotions trickles down the parent's mind, I feel that in itself hinders a lot of process. They don't reach out for help, or they don't try to educate themselves even, and that in turn of course has a very bad repercussion on their kids. So thank you, doctor, again for throwing some light on this matter. So as you mentioned that many parents do take initiatives to put their children into various activities. Are these effective in bolstering mental health?
Uh, uh, yes, definitely. Apart from academics, engaging your children in some form of activities or the other, these are definitely helpful. First of all, you need to understand why these activities are helpful, right? Just because I am saying that it is helpful doesn't make it so, right? First, to understand that, we need to understand what are the functions of our brain at large. I won't go into the micro nuances of it, but broadly speaking, our brain has got four functions. Rightly said. Suppose what the brain does is that it picks up the stimuli from the environment, the picking up of stimuli from the environment, firstly. Now, when the stimuli is picked up, the brain will process it. After the processing of the stimuli, we are able to feel some kind of emotions, right? The emotions are not that it is generated within ourselves on its own. It is because the brain processing some environmental stimuli, and it in turn generates certain emotions within you, whether be it a positive emotion, whether be it a negative emotion such as anger. Now, after the brain has processed the stimuli, it develops some form of thinking or the other based on this processing. It's like the same thing, the data you feed into a program or a computer, and it develops and it generates an output. So after processing, the brain develops certain form of thinking or the other, and when you execute the thinking, that results in your behavior, right? So what happens is that whenever you are involving your child in some form of extracurricular activities, now imagine an indoor activity. Suppose I give you the example of very simple thing. Not everyone plays chess. I would give you an example with a carom board, right? Most of us have played carom at some form, at in some form or the other. Suppose in a carom, what happens is that there are 3 to 4 persons who are playing the carom. Now, when this environment in itself, it is some form of a competitive environment. I need to score more than this person, right? So it develops a source of inspiration within you. Now, when you are striking the like, different colored what I would say that the carom board's striker, the striker and the black colored balls and the yellow and the red, three kinds of what I can remember right now. So when you are striking it with the strike, you need to focus your attention on it. You need to hit it such that it falls into the pocket, carom pocket, right? Now to do this, over there, right? Now, when people, 3 to 4 people are doing that, it develops in a sort of a competitive environment, and your attention is getting bolstered with the help of this. Similar happens with chess also. Chess is a more attention provoking game, I admit that. And what happens is that whenever you are doing it on a regular basis, your thinking in some form or the other, it gets strengthened, and also it serves as a respite for you from the day-to-day boring activities also. Now, what is essential to understand from the perspective of a child is that they get bored very easily, right? So they're not like adults. We keep on doing the same job over 20 to 30 years. The child cannot do that. You need to understand that they get bored very easily. Now, uh, academics inherently are boring to majority of the children. You don't expect a kid to find interest in studies. At least till class 8th, no kid finds interest in studies. It's just that some kids are more obedient than the others who study well and they score good marks. But inherently, academics are boring. More so because of the way we are taught in schools, our examination system. So the child needs some form of attentional respite from that. So, in that way, any form of activities, whichever the child is interested in. Some children are interested in running, jumping, in body contact games. So, they can get involved in that. The kids who are relatively introvert kind, though who don't like interacting with many people. But yes, you can involve them in chess. In chess, what happens is that they get to mix with many other co-players who are playing with them. They get some insights, and also from a career perspective also it helps. But what I would like to point again is that don't see these extracurricular activities from a career perspective. If you are willing to make a career with it, it's fine, but see it as a extracurricular activity only. Don't inculcate competition into it. Those who are willing to compete on it, they can very easily do so. Their avenues are open for it in the future, but not right from the beginning. It is meant as a relief from your day-to-day activities.
Even we as adults, we look out for avenues to rejuvenate ourselves.
Yeah.
So kids with their attention span way little than what we have definitely look out for some time where which will be their energy release, or the time where they refresh themselves from uh, the academics they are, the time they're spending in their school and stuff. So even when we do have the physical education classes, I feel that that 40-45 minutes is not enough. So
Yeah.
the stepping stones was, I remember when we were kids, the stepping stones was the going down to play at around 4:35 o'clock, and then coming back home at 6:30 and start studying from 6:45 7, and then go up. And that was that 1.5 hours was something that we all looked forward to, because that was the time when all the kids of the neighborhood would come down and play and have their own time. So but alas, that time has gone and people are busy with their phones nowadays.
Mm.
So that is something that we are missing out on. So but then this is a good initiative where parents are wanting to put their kids into a lot of activities so that they can get some hold of rejuvenation, which is very very important for them. So with, with that in mind, I like to ask you one question with regards to a balance. Okay, so how to manage time between various activities, how to maintain, how to strike this balance, because we have a lot on our plate, and how to make it very very easy for the kids.
So what I would essentially like to say in this regard is that the parents should limit sending their kids to two activities at max. It can be any two which the child is fond of, and other than this, if the child is interested in anything else, he or she can do it as his or her hobby or pastime, not on a regular basis. Because essentially, academics is also important, which should be kept in mind. It's not like that you neglect academics completely. That won't be the message in any way. And other than that, there should be a competitive environment, but it should be a healthy competition. It's not that you have to win medals in whichever competition you participate. And criticism from the instructors also, whoever in whichsoever kind of sport or academy they are in, the instructors should also be vigilant so as not to portray any child negatively based on his or her performance. It's not like that, okay, this is not meant for you, you just go away. There are, I cannot spend time on it. Not that. If the child is interested, he should do it, whatever the result is. It's not that you have to win a gold medal or a bronze medal or silver medal every time. not everyone wins medals, but you still can enjoy. Very good example is that many of us sing um, at home only, be it in the washroom or in the home. We don't do it for getting medals or recording and sending it to anyone. We do it just because we feel like it. Some good tune is going on. We just do it.
Yeah, we simply start humming a very
Yeah,
good tune, whatever we
yeah,
like, and
yeah,
uh, that's our moment of the day, probably.
yeah.
And sometimes it just lingers on the tune just
Yes,
lingers on whenever even we are when we are working and busy doing something.
yeah, yeah.
So yes, it indeed is something. Um, so any further advice for the parents from your side, apart from whatever you have already
Mm,
told us regarding them not projecting their own thoughts and wishes on their
yeah.
children. So,
Uh,
something would you like to say?
what I would essentially 2 to 3 words, what I would like to say is that uh, don't bother about mental illness. If you care about the mental health of your child, there is a very little possibility that your child will fall mentally ill. So our approach should not be to treat illnesses, but it's creating a holistic environment such that our kids don't fall ill mentally. Second advice would be that even if your kid has got a mental illness of some sort or the other, don't hesitate in seeking help, because getting half-baked knowledge from multiple sources is dangerous. So don't hesitate to visit a mental health professional. It's not that you have to visit a mental hospital. There are many mental health professionals who are available in the vicinity of your place, wherever you are staying, be it in a metro city, be it in the suburbs. You will get help. It's not that help is not available. Help is available. Don't hesitate in seeking help, and always wherever you are working, whichever organization you are working or whatever you are doing in your life, always try to create a inclusive environment for all. It's not that just for kids, but as for adults also. You will find many in many organizations these days, many people who are working who are not, who are differently abled, I would say, in some form or the other. So as rightly said, charity begins at home. So you should be very much vigilant and create a inclusive environment for all. Only then you can expect that an inclusive environment for your kids. God forbids if your kid falls ill, there is a need for an inclusive environment for everyone. So you do it, you will get it in return.
And I'd like to add on one thing. I feel that we shouldn't belittle anybody. So when the moment we stop belittling anybody in front of
Yeah, yeah.
us, our children will also not learn to belittle anybody else.
Yes,
So, for example,
rightly said.
if we do not, we should rather appreciate. If somebody
Mhm.
has brought up something on the table, we should rather be appreciative rather than just dismissing it off.
Yeah.
So
True.
they often look with keen eyes and seek some sort of a confidence from us. So rather have some faith and belief in their own thoughts. So I feel that is another thing that we should
And
certainly practice. Yeah.
if we look at the history also, we will see that it's not like that those who are having mental health issues, they're not doing anything. There are many examples in the history of India as well as the history of the world that people who have got mental illnesses, they are doing wonderful things. It's that uh, these are not in the mainstream that they're doing, a little off mainstream, but in their respective fields, they're doing wonderfully. So, mental health, I would say, is a fundamental human right, and we should be trying our level best to implement this right on our perspective in whichever sphere we are working, and also this inclusivity for all individuals in all spheres, and then only will the place where we are living would be a better place for everyone.
So, sir, as you correctly mentioned, that it is very important for them to have this faith in their own children, and if we do not have that faith in their own safe space, that is their homes, it becomes difficult for them in the broadest perspective of their schools or of the outer world, when they have to confront um, a lot of people, a lot of circumstances, a lot of dangers which they are not absolutely accustomed to. So. Um, that that brings me to another question because curious mind, now that we are a part of this interesting initiative by Envision Chess Academy, I'd like to ask you that how should children handle stress during the game of chess?
Um, Rightly asked. See, when children who are playing chess regularly, there will be situations during the game when they will feel what will happen if there is a pressure situation, how to handle the stress. Um, these things will occur on a regular basis whenever they are playing in tournaments or something like that. So at that point, only what they can do is that obviously it will not be a first time ready made solution, as we can understand, but what they can do is that they can take few deep breaths. By deep breath, I mean that you are inhaling from one nostril and exhaling from the other forcibly, taking it slowly, very deep, and exhaling from the other nostril forcibly. Do it 5 to 10 times. It will help to curb your anxiety level to a certain extent. Uh, this is one thing. And another thing is that they can just take a 1 to 2 minute break at that time, have a glass of water, uh, mildly cold water, I would say, not very much cold, not warm water, something a little bit cool water. Do this breathing in and breathing out for 5 to 10 times. That will help to significantly decrease the anxiety, internal anxiety, I would say. Stress will be there. It is bound to be there, but that internal anxiety will be curbed to some extent. Other than that, I won't think just for this reason they need to do something else.
Okay, sir. So the deep breathing is a cure for all of us, I feel. We all
Yeah,
do it even before interviews or even before any such performances and exams, even.
yeah.
So that's a lesson for all of us. So, sir, how should children prepare for such circumstances during competitions? I feel this is an important question for both children who are playing such games where the mind is intriguingly involved, and also regular players in such in such situations. Let me repeat this once again. Wait. Um, so. Um, so, sir, how should children prepare for such circumstances during competitions? I feel this is an important question for both children and all regular players who are involved in such circumstances.
Yeah, this is another thing which takes me to the topic of stress management. Um, if I just point it out in 1 to 2 sentences, what I would like to do is that first you need to know why this stress is happening, right? Those stress, it is happening because our sympathetic nervous system that gets very much activated in certain situations, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps to keep us calm and cool, that uh, plays a little lesser role. The sympathetic nervous system overpowers it. Now, to fight with anxiety or stressful situations, what we need to do is that we have to be in complete control of our sympathetic nervous system. That can be done through many avenues, but the very easy and easy to do in home um, thing is that you can look up on it in YouTube. You will get videos, multiple videos on this. It is called as postural muscle relaxation exercises. What essentially you do it in is you lie down, flat on a yoga mat or something like that, and you sequentially contract your muscles um, group wise. Suppose you are making this fist like this, you contract it for 1 minute, and after that you slowly release it, not at one go, you slowly release it, and you do it with all the muscle groups of your body. Total set of exercise, it takes 30 to 40 minutes if you do it properly as per norms. If you do it for a period of 2 to 3 months, you will find a significant difference in your stress and anxiety levels. This is helpful for all, is not just for people who get stress, it is for all who even do not get stress, it is helpful for them also. Other than that, people do yoga, but I know that yoga is difficult to follow and you don't get it on a regular basis. You do it some few days, then leave it, and then after 2 months you again do it. So the continuity is the main thing in yoga. You don't get the results if you do it intermittently. So if you can do yoga, that is very good. But 99% of the people are not consistent with yoga. So this is a, I won't say this is a substitute for yoga, but definitely if you do this, it will help you to significantly curb your anxiety and stress levels. And if you do it over a period of time, these situations of heightened anxiety during games, this will get much more reduced. You don't face these situations regularly if you do it on a regular basis.
Okay, sir. So that was very insightful yet again. I feel a routine which has a balance of both uh, and academics, extracurriculars, and something that the kid likes to do alongside a rightful balance of yoga, meditation, and the form of muscle relaxation that you talked about is going to be very, very helpful for all the children who face such situations. So, thank you yet again. I'd like to sum up a little. So, so we had a very thought-provoking discussion on a very important issue today with Dr. Abhishek. In a nutshell, what Dr. Abhishek highlighted is that parents should be aware of the general capacity of their children, areas that their children have a general liking for, example, painting, sports, music, and should take feasible steps to nurture that talent. It should be kept in mind that all children would not excel academically, but all children, if adequately trained and encouraged, can excel in at least one or two domains. Any change in behavior for a significant duration, that is, more than 2 weeks, should be noticed by the parents and proper help should be sought for the same. It is our duty to provide an inclusive environment for all children, irrespective of their capacity. We should bear in mind that mental health is a fundamental human right. Thank you.